This video is being made due to your response on a recent video that I made. You asked, I'm delivering. If you want to satisfy your curiosity, all you need to do is come along with me. Before we do continue, I just want to take a moment to share something with you. Now, when that video came out of my Google fail, as I'm calling it, although it wasn't technically a fail, it just didn't go according to plan. That video attracted a lot of new viewers, people who are not familiar with my content, with me, or the gear that I use. And I would say probably at least 75% of the comments were related to having a drone. Comments were saying you need to get yourself a drone, buy a drone, bring a drone, should have had a drone with you. Well, I do have one. I don't need to go out and buy one. I've always had one. I don't disagree that if I had this with me at the time of that video, the outcome would have been different. We would have been able to see the areas I wasn't able to access, but I didn't have it with me because I didn't think I was going to need it. I do have a lot of gear that I use to make my variety of videos, everything from a drone to multiple cameras, lenses, a thermal gun, gas detector, snorkel gear, flashlights. I have a variety of stuff. It wouldn't be practical for me to bring everything that I have on every single outing. I would need 2 backpacks. It would weigh me down considerably. So I only bring what I feel I'm going to need for that particular video or adventure. I have to keep my gear as light as possible. It's just more practical to do that than to bring everything with me at all times. So yes, if I had this, it would have made that video and adventure a bit different, but I did hear your feedback. You wanted me to return. You want to see what's at those areas that I can't explore on foot. Well, we're going to answer that today. Just keep in mind in the future though, if I am on location somewhere, and those of you who are familiar with me and my gear, and you're maybe wondering, well, why isn't he bringing out his drone? Why isn't he using a flashlight or whatever? It's not because I don't want to, it's just because I don't have access to that piece of equipment or that tool right at that time. With that being said, we are going to start things in the opposite direction today. Behind me is the supposed ventilation shaft. It's just a few minutes down that direction. We're going to get set up, get airborne, and get some views from above. After that, we will head to our second location, which is at an abandoned farm, supposedly. I don't know if it's truly abandoned or not, but it was posted, so I couldn't go any further on foot. So that will be coming up a little bit later. So without wasting more time, let's head back there and check it out. And here we are, looking the same as how we left it. The only thing that's different is we do have a fresh coating of snow. And the one thing back here is animal tracks, so we are definitely the only individuals back here today. I'm going to find a clearing, which I believe is going to be where I did my outro, near that bullseye. And I'm going to share a couple thoughts too. I should say a couple of thoughts that people left in the comment section about what they think or thought this is. Now look at some nature's raisins. So just to share with you briefly what some viewers thought or think this is. Well, some people thought this was a bunker, whether it be for ammunition or built during the wartime for some type of military use. Other people thought this is a mine building where inside would lead down into the underground mines. Well, I can tell you that's not the case. This was built for a train tunnel that is beneath us. There's another one of these buildings a couple hundred yards further down, and the tunnel is pretty lengthy. And back in the day when it was built, it was used primarily by steam locomotives. Those of you familiar with steam locomotives know they put out a lot of soot and cinders and smoke. And going through a tunnel like that, multiple trains a day, it would make visibility really difficult. So they need to find a way to get that smoke out of the tunnel. So they built 2 of these ventilation houses above the tunnels. As far as I know, there's no mechanics inside. It's just an open air shaft just to allow the air to escape, the smoke, I should say. I do know of like ventilation tunnels that say the old turnpike tunnels where they had equipment with big turbines to suck the air out or push fresh air in. That's not the case here. So just wanted to confirm it's definitely built for the railroad, built for a tunnel beneath us. And we can't go through the tunnel because the tunnel is still actively used. But with that being said, I'm going to get the drone up in the air and we'll get the views we've been waiting for. All right, just got done with the compass calibration. We're airborne. Gonna hit record now. And we're first gonna go up and do a circumference around it. Then we'll take some internal looks. There's no power lines above us. I'm gonna go well above the trees. And first thing we could see without giving too much away is there's definitely graffiti inside. And as we suspected, based on the aerial images, it is completely open. I'm gonna go up a bit higher here to about 100 feet. All right, so we're gonna just take a little spin around it here. The building, as I explained in the past, with the help of Google Earth measuring, is around 56 feet long by 33 feet wide, approximately 15 to 20 feet high on the walls. So we can see there's no mechanics, just basically like supports going across, forming little squares. All right, so we're gonna approach it now. I'm gonna start lowering in elevation. I'm gonna tell you ahead of time I'm not going down inside of it with the drone, because if I do hit something or it loses connection, there's a good chance I could lose the drone and I won't get it back. So we're gonna do as much as we can safely without risking my equipment. The only thing that would make this even better is if a train comes through while we're doing this. Now, the way the sun is, I don't know how far we're gonna be able to shine, but I can lower down and I can also zoom a little bit too. So I'm gonna drop down. We're around 90 feet right now and dropping. 70 feet. 60 feet. 50 feet. Still above the building, obviously. Getting down to around 30 feet right now. We're still above it, but I'm losing sight of it from where I am. So it looks like there's different supports going down through it. Now I'm going to attempt to zoom down there and we'll see if it shows anything. Now if I get past that whiteness of the snow there, it may allow us to see a little bit more. So I'm going to drop a little bit more. I'm definitely below the wall right now. A little bit nervous. I am at 15 feet. That's as far as I am comfortable going. Going to rotate. Actually, yeah, I'm seeing it on the screen, which is dim. I do see the rails down there. So now the way I'm turning is the way the tracks are going. So I'm going to zoom out. And raise up, because I am definitely inside of that right now. We can see that inner wall right there too as I point the camera near this corner over here. There's an inner wall. That's what we saw when I stuck my camera through the hole and we had that obstructed view. It's because there is that lip, that wall going around it. Snow is really affecting the exposure, so it's hard to have it adjust appropriately. Okay, there's the door. There's the paint colors that we saw on the outside of the bullseye. So one time people did get in there. I wouldn't be surprised if they walked across the beams, but They are brave souls for doing that. I don't know how far the drop is, but it's definitely at least a 30-40 foot drop. And there's more paint right there. It's the same colors on the outside as the bullseye, so without a doubt, someone has marked their place. I'd say that was a successful flight. The only thing that's basically ruining the image is all the whiteness from the snow. Although it looks great, adds to the scenery and the ambience, but it affects the exposure because those beams in there are covered in snow, which is basically dropping the exposure because it's so bright, but the dark areas are underexposed. So I did what I could to get down as low as I can to get away from the whiteness to have it exposed properly. Although yes, I could do it manually through the app to adjust the exposure for the camera. I wanted to do this as quickly and safely as possible since I was basically down inside the walls here. I didn't feel comfortable staying there longer than I had to. With that being said though, we do know the tracks are going this way underneath us here, and there's multiple beams going across basically as support for the walls, I believe. But aside from this manway here, which is welded up, people got in there one way or the other back in the day, or at some point. That graffiti color is in multiple areas on the inside. But now that we know what it looks like, I think that definitely answers the question is, what is it? What's it used for? Now we know. The only thing I want to add though is that a few viewers did point out there's some exposed rebar areas, which is twisted rebar. That is basically turn of the century. This was built sometime in the late 1800s, early 1900s, so we can confirm that. And the old no trespassing sign of D&H, Delaware and Hudson Railroad, obviously was intended and used back then for that company, which is now no longer the case. It is now NS Norfolk Southern. So I'm gonna get packed up, make some headway, and I'll see you somewhere on the way to our second location. You're not gonna believe it, I just landed. There's a train coming through right now. I'm gonna try to get the drone up in the air. Let's see if we can get some train action going through the tunnel. You can hear it. I was off by about 2 minutes. Yep, there's the train cars going through. I can smell the diesel. It's actually working as intended. I can smell the smoke of the locomotives. How about that? I gotta watch where I'm going here. I mean, I'm zoomed in, but still a little precarious. There's a draft coming up out of the tunnel, which is throwing the drone around. So I'm gonna get out of there. We got what we needed to get. The one thing I was hoping for happened just a couple minutes too late. Well, it's like they say, better late than never. 100% working as a ventilation shaft. I could smell the diesel from here and I could hear it. And there's definitely some air being moved through there with the train cars. It was pushing this around a little bit. I didn't feel comfortable leaving it there longer than I did. Might be a DPU going through. Either that or a bad wheel on one of the cars. That was loud. Looks like it's heading that way south. I believe that would be Norfolk Southern's 11Z, which goes from New York down to Virginia. Well, I'm happy we caught that. A little too late, but we got something. All right, now I can officially pack up and go to our next location. We're now back to a familiar spot. I just wanted to share something with you briefly here because there's some talk about this area right here. Just to my right above me is an old telegraph insulator pole. It's got some of the glass insulators on it. And the active rail line is right down there. Now some people, including me, when I first found this area, I'm like, that looks like an old rail line. Wonder if it is. Well, I can't say it never was, but I can't find any confirmation that it was, because at least from what I researched using my rail guide app, which covers modern and former rail lines, there's nothing showing a line existing here, just the one down there. My only guess is that maybe when that line was being worked on for the tunnel, they may have rerouted or had a temporary line up here, which would be basically top side of the tunnel going over it while they were working going through it. That's my best guess. That's the only thing I could think of. So it wasn't an official rail line. It may have been a temporary rail line that came through here, but there's definitely numerous telegraph poles along this route. So without any certainty, don't have a railroad name, but I'd say there's more than a 50% chance that a line did exist here at one time. Once again, we're back here at a familiar location. Back here at the 3-piece concrete fence post. Now before we do continue, I do want to talk about this briefly because there were some comments made in the comments section about what this is or was or could have been. So we do know these are concrete fence posts. They do go in basically a straight line all the way towards the property that we're going to be covering. And for me, it was my first time coming upon concrete fence posts. Now there was a mixed response in the comments of people saying that this is or was a government installation, that they tend to use posts like this, more long-term durable posts. People have also said, no, farms would not have these kind of posts, they would have wooden ones. And others did say, yes, sometimes farms do use concrete posts because it's sometimes quicker to mix the concrete on site and put them in molds rather than having to process lumber. So can't say whether or not it is for the farm property itself. Other people have also said too that these are typically seen along railroads. Well, the railroad is down there, probably 30, 40 yards. I don't know if they would be this far away. They do continue downwards. I don't know how far in that direction, but these do at least go as far as the property that we're going to be covering. So regardless of what the true reason is, we may or may not know. The only thing I did learn is that these 3-piece sets here, where they're leaning against each other, is for stability and durability, where they wrap the wire around it, because we did confirm these were wrapped with barbed wire, that they could pull it really tight, and these help keep it taut and secure and prevent the post from falling over. So that is what we did confirm, thanks to the viewers. So everyone who did share your input and guesses and thoughts, I do always appreciate what you have to share. Even if it's just a guess, it is better than nothing. Since we do know the left side of it is posted further down, we are going to stay primarily on the right side as much as we can and get to where we stopped last time by the posted signs, because that's just going to be as close as we could go legally and also within a close enough range for the drone. And we are right back to where we stopped last time. As I explained, these are new signs. There's actually some I saw further up. There's fresh purple paint, which does signify private property. And from what I could tell, they're all primarily on the left side of the fence. Now, some people did mention that, you know what, if you stay on the right side of the fence where it's not posted, why not just keep going? Technically I could, but I still can't get onto the property. So I feel comfortable stopping here where the sign is greeting me. There is a big enough opening there to get the drone up through and above the tree line. And I am going to be within visual line of sight, so I could definitely fly from here. I'm just going to go up a little bit further underneath that gap. We'll get airborne and see once and for all exactly what that is. All right, so as you can hear, we're airborne. I'm going to try to navigate up through the trees here. Once I get above the tree line, we'll start recording, and then we'll do a perimeter sweep and then get some closer up shots. All right, got up to about 200 feet. I want to make sure I'm well above the tree line. If I turn to the right, our structure and property should be somewhere in front of us. And I believe it's right there in the center of the screen. Moving forward. Yep, that's what we can see from here, the roof of that building, which looks like maybe a barn. Or actually, maybe that's a house. I'm gonna go up a little higher, further away. We're gonna do a circumference around it. I'm gonna go up to about 300 feet. I can still hear the drone. I'm backing up, as you can see, just shy of 300 feet, and we're just going to go back and around. As we saw on the maps, there's definitely more than one structure on this property, but it doesn't appear to be an active property. And the one thing I can tell you is that when I first came here, I pulled up the 1939 map. It did show clear access to this property off a road going up and over the tunnel. And in modern day, I'm like, this place looks inaccessible. How's someone getting back there? Well, a viewer did comment, and I checked today on my way back here to this location, driving on the road, I did see a gated, posted area going through the woods. So there is still access here. It's just not like it was. It's now much more grown in. So I know you can't see me. I'm basically in the woods back behind the main structure, which I could see from here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. It looks like something that's dilapidated or decayed and rotted and not looking how it once did. I can't tell what that is right now. And the snow is definitely making the exposure darker than it should be, so I'm going to have to adjust that during editing if I didn't already. Nature is reclaimed, but the property is still maintained as far as like the land. It's not completely overgrown. Coming towards the main structure now. I'm going to zoom in once again. And we're going to go around this side now. I don't know if that's a barn or a house. It looks like maybe a patio on it right there, or a deck. That might be a house. Snow is not cleared. There's no tire tracks that I could tell. There's no vehicles there that I could tell. Looks like there is some skylights there on the roof. And I went through different eras on the timeline on Google Earth through the 90s through modern day. It looks like this place may have been worked on. I don't believe this is a government facility like people were speculating. If it is, it's disguised as a farmhouse. I believe this is an old farm. I'm going to find a clearing and drop down a little bit to get a closer view. I don't want to get down too low, just in case there's any power lines or obstacles that I can't see. Got a long roof going down almost right to the ground. Now looking at the ground here, which I guess is probably part of the old driveway, it looks like just animal tracks. I'm going to drop down to about 100 feet if I could and stay within the clearing. This may be a hunting cabin, could be a summer getaway, could be anything. Okay, I'm right at 100 feet right now. And there's the building. I'm gonna go really slow to get close to it, because there are trees and tree branches here. Looks like it's got a porch underneath. That's why the roof is so long. Let me just make sure I'm clear here. Okay. I'm gonna drop down to about 75 feet. Yeah, so there's definitely a covered porch right there. I like having the zoom feature. I don't have to get as close. Those shadows of the branches on the roof, I thought for a second were right in front of me there. There's the deck. Not cleared off at all. I do want to find the other structure and see what that is. So I'm fairly confident that is a home. Here's the old driveway. You can see it going through the woods there. And, okay, there we go. That looks like something that was maybe burned. There's only a little bit of it intact there. Looks like maybe a basement to it. Get along the side of it here. It looks like there was something in the woods there too. You see the foundation, like a pit. Maybe this was the barn, or a barn-like structure. All right, I'm gonna snap some photos and we'll bring the drone back. And as a bonus for you, to show you where the driveway goes over, we're gonna take a brief look at the tunnel. There it is. So their driveway goes up and over that off a active road. So they still have access to that when they want to. It's just not cleared out like we saw on the older maps. All right, getting this down is going to be harder than it was to get up because I have an obstacle course above me of tree branches. All right, I see me, I see a tree right below the drone. I'll see you guys in a minute as I get this down. Well, as the saying goes, it was like threading a needle. That was dicey. Got it back in one piece though. If you don't mind sticking around for a couple more moments, I do want to share some thoughts with you, both about today's video and something related to this topic of video. It's actually a pretty gorgeous day out. Not too bad. So something I did notice on some recent videos, so particularly a video I put out a couple months ago, I think it was, maybe less than that, of another Google Maps adventure where I went to a location and I labeled it as having like backwoods, sketchy vibes. It had vehicles on the property, a rundown, crushed mobile home, other personal contents, and that property wasn't posted. I made a video of it, and there were a lot of one-off commenters who watched that video. And I know they're one-off commenters because when you click on their channel, it shows their history with my channel, and it shows that was their first comment ever. So a lot of people find my Google Maps videos as being suggested or recommended by YouTube. They're not necessarily familiar with me, my channel, the way I do things. But there were a lot of one-off commenters who were not happy with me making that video, saying I was invading on someone's personal property, exploiting their livelihood, their personal property there, their space, their contents. And everyone, of course, is welcome to their opinion. I'm not saying anyone is right or wrong. It's just a difference of opinion. With that particular property, as I explained and showed through map histories, that property wasn't touched for a few decades, over 20 years. Even going by the inspections on the vehicles, No one's been there. No one's living there. No one's actively using that site. The individual who did live there most likely passed away, may or may not have been left to a family member who's doing nothing with it. Taxes may or may not be even being paid. Eventually that site's going to get sold off, redeveloped, or just fall into further disrepair of what it already is. So me going there, I personally don't feel like I was intruding or invading on someone's life. I feel like I was documenting someone's past life because they're no longer around, they're no longer using that place, and the stuff that was left behind told a story of that individual. Coming forward to the video I made, the Google Finds video coming here. As we know, I stopped at this same location where it's posted. Again, a lot of one-off commenters who didn't agree with that, saying, "You're foolish. Why didn't you keep going? You went all that way, made all that effort. Why would you stop there? Who cares about the signs? Keep going. No one's going to know." Well, someone always finds out eventually. I know that from firsthand experience. Although some people would keep going, and I'll be honest, back in the day when I was younger, I probably would have kept going, but I have learned from experience, from example, and just growing as an individual, kind of learning what's morally right and wrong. Technically, there's a very good chance I could have kept going, ignored the signs, documented on foot, maybe even got access to the house, and no one would have known the difference. But what has happened in the past, and what would have been my luck, is that if not the owner themselves, someone who knows the owner would have saw the video, shared it with them, and I would have been instantly guilty of trespassing on their property. That has happened in the past. I learned from it, and morally, I felt like I did the right thing. Some people may not have agreed with what I did, but honestly, the regular loyal viewers to my channel were appreciative of what I did. There was more comments than not saying, "My hat's off to you for being respectful. I'm glad you're respecting the signs. I also have similar properties that are posted and people ignore them and go rooting around." So although not everyone agrees with it, I'd say the majority of the people out there do agree with what I did, and that was doing things the right way. Yes, it was disappointing that we didn't get to see the place up close, didn't get to see over the wall of the vent shaft, but I did what I could based on the circumstances at hand. And at the end of the day, it is my channel, my content, my livelihood, and me personally making those decisions, and I do feel good about the decisions I do make. Like I said, if I brought the drone back then, when I was first here, I wouldn't be back here today. We would have had everything said and done on day one, but it didn't work out that way. But I had no issues coming back and documenting this place the right way, from the air, without trespassing. Airspace is open. There's no flight restrictions around here. It was perfectly safe and okay to fly around here and to document both locations from the air. So it was based on many of you giving feedback and input saying, please return, bring your drone. If you don't already have one, get a drone. I have one, I brought it, and I accomplished what I came out here to do. So just want to say that, I don't condone or tell others to go out and do what I do. I do it for my own enjoyment and for your entertainment. And all I can ask is that you hopefully enjoy the entertainment that I do provide for you, free of charge, obviously, and that you do have an appreciation for the effort I go through to make these videos, because this is not, it's more than just a job for me. I thoroughly do enjoy what I do. I do feel really fortunate to be able to explore, to be in good enough health to get out to these places, whether it's going underground or going trekking through the woods. A lot of people can't do that, and they do enjoy my videos and live vicariously through my videos for their own enjoyment. So it is completely my pleasure to make these videos for you, and being able to do a little bit of a variety of things keeps it fresh, keeps it entertaining. You really never know what you're going to see on my channel. Could be something one of a kind, could be something that you've seen before, but regardless, just know it's not going to be the same thing over and over and over. I do try my best to keep the variety rotating, and that's why I'm working on a winter list right now that's quickly working down. I still have a lot to go. I'm hoping to get through all of them before the winter ends, but I have a lot more great things planned. Some are going to be Google related, railroad related. Some are things I've never done before, but they will be coming out hopefully before the winter does end, and then coming spring, summertime, we'll be transitioning over into some different but similar types of content. But anyways, enough of me rambling. And that was, oh, one other thing. I just reminded myself, a lot of people say I talk too much in the videos, or I over-explain things too much. I know that. You're not telling me anything I don't know. but I'm a very detail-oriented person. I do share things as they come to mind, and I do explain things to people who may not be familiar with what they're seeing or live in a different part of the world or not familiar with the landscape. So sometimes, yes, it can be annoying for me to talk too much, but I think it's better than just walking silently, hearing and seeing nothing. At least to me, that's boring. I want to hear what the person's thinking, what they're seeing, talking to us like we're there with them. So if you don't like the way I do my videos, that's perfectly fine. I mean, there's a lot of other content channels out there, content creators who do things differently than me, and they may be more suited for you. I have a variety of channels I'm subscribed to. Some do things differently than me, some do things similar. And if I don't like something that they do, I don't complain about it, I just don't watch it. So at the end of the day, I know I won't please everyone, but I do my best to put out quality, entertaining, and informative content for you to enjoy. And I do feel good about what I do share and create with you on a regular basis. But I'm cutting myself off. Enough rambling, Jay. Packing up, getting out of here, and getting home to start editing this video. So once again, thanks for your continued support. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming along on all my wacky and sometimes one-of-a-kind adventures. I hope you enjoy them as much as I do. Take care, and until next time, I'll see you in the next video.